Microphone check, we're gonna start with the live feed. Wesley says it takes about a minute or so for it to
I think if we get away from this setting,
just make sure that
and we
this
don't
is
need
where we
anybody
can.
else, then it gives us, custodians or anybody's in there, we can have a private day.
Just thought I'd throw that out there.
I'm good with doing that. You might not know it tonight, but you can just say in the future. That's right, yeah.
I haven't heard that one for a while.
Well, you're in the wrong church.
What was this here?
You're probably right, eh?
Yes.
Aaron's usually
Say it
right.
like I know.
I've seen that.
I think that it's needed, I just don't know if it's sustainable.
I saw that. You know, and that's a typical
Wesley, give me the, we're okay?
I was,
in line
We're
with
good?
the.
Okay, Matt, you wanna go ahead and get her on the line?
Before the pledge or after?
We might as well go ahead and make sure everything is
People are getting about that right now.
Where'd you at? Basketball?
track.
Right now, that's been going on for 2 years.
so we would be positioned everywhere.
Hi.
Okay, tell her we're gonna hold till, we're
We're getting
gonna,
ready to do the pledge.
okay, cool.
I'm meeting you until it's time.
All right, we're gonna call this meeting to order. Will you please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? The flag is toward the back. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Turn it over to the superintendent. Oh, Linda had said Linda. Oh, the oath, the oath.
Oh, you gotta reopen it?
Gotta take it again. You want-
Do I need to stand here?
They have to retake the oath. They weren't even on the ballot.
Giving
Two the following,
That's
two
right, I
that.
remember that.
Faithfully, impartially discharge the duties of school director in and for the school district marshal, county of Saline, state of Missouri, to the best of your ability, of course, well.
Okay.
Thank you. I will now entertain nominations for the office of the President of the Marshall Public Schools Board of Education.
I nominate Aaron Meyer.
And I respectfully decline.
I'll
nominate-
nominate Brian
Second it.
Jakes.
Brian Jakes has been nominated and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, Mr. President.
Here. All right.
I have to move muted, so you can't hear me.
You can hear us, okay? Okay.
You got comfortable with
Oh, okay. Was that, we got Ellen recorded and all that? Okay.
Come on. President, move.
I got you, yes. Hold on. It's a comment.
Always.
Mr. President, I turn the meeting over to you.
Ah. Well, then I guess I am going to be entertaining nominations for vice president.
Nominate Matt Smith.
I second. Oh, that's Kirsty.
Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Matthew.
Congratulations, Mr. Smith.
Here, here.
You want me to change places?
Or just
I now need to look for nominations for treasurer.
Nominate Ed.
Ed. I
Second.
second.
Any other nominations? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And Ed will still remain in office. Board secretary, any nominations?
I nominate Linda Perkins.
Ms. Linda?
I got a 1 and a 2.
Either this. Any other nominations? Linda is more than happy to give up this job, probably.
She can decline.
Hearing none, I'd like to Ask for a vote,
Aye.
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 and so you are retained. MSB delegate. Housekeeping still, huh?
Nominate Ellen, she was on that previously, and
I'll second that.
Ellen, are you willing to serve in that role as MSB delegate?
Are you willing to serve as the MSB delegate again?
Yes. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And we need an alternate, I assume, for that position as well. Any takers for an alternate on that position? Mr. Carroll, would you serve as an alternate?
Yes.
I nominate her.
Second.
So moved. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye. Matt. Shane is in the starting blocks.
Okay.
Thank you, Ellen, for participating. All right. Moving down, number 4 on our agenda tonight, we have approval of the minutes from March 23rd, the regular board meeting. They were in your packet. Any corrections on those?
Move we accept?
Second.
Second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Approval of April bills totaling $858,649.48.
Linda, is that the current one? Because you sent out a correction with a couple more bills.
I sent out one today.
Right, is
Yes,
that
that's the
into
current
that total? Okay.
And that does include all the bills in your emails then, for clarification? Motion?
Motion that we approve?
Motion? Yes.
I can stand right over there.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
I have a question first.
Yes, sir. Question?
That payment to Excel, is that the final payment on Spanier? Okay.
Final payment.
All right. Just want to make sure.
Call question?
Matt,
Yeah,
I'm gonna hop off and get into my car on my way to you.
okay.
All those in favor of paying of the monthly April bills?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we're going to move to the approval of the monthly finance reports that were included in your packet. Motion?
I'll make a motion for that.
Good. Second?
Second.
Matt? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Moving down to the Parents as Teachers Program Review. Everyone get a chance to review that report? Need a motion to accept that report as written?
So moved.
Second?
Here's a second from Ms. Varner. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we have the Guidance Counseling and Program Review. I do have a question. Who is in charge of the guidance counselors?
Building
How you doing, Ms. Scotland? It was a great report. It was very detailed. I just want you to know, I just didn't know who it was submitted by or actually who was in charge of. So I do have one question about that, and I will follow up with you later on about that, so. Okay. It was very well written and composed, so thank you. Does anyone else have any questions about that report?
I have questions about the position. But I don't know if this is the right place.
No, probably not now. Can I have a motion to accept the report as written or presented?
So
Make a
move.
motion. Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, regular session agenda without corrections, I'm taking it? Nothing added?
Move we accept?
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, we carry. Dr. Lorenz, Assistant Superintendent report.
As Matt just mentioned earlier, we've made the, made the final payment on the Spainhour project. Got just a couple of minor tweaks. They're still on board to make sure we get fixed, nothing major. We are, the fiber project that's working, that's underway at the high school is about 30% complete. Hope to have that finished in 2 to 3 weeks before they move out here. The sod project is still on schedule. The superintendent for the company came out today, was looking things over, getting things lined out and ready. So I'm hopeful that we can go with the May 3rd and not the 10th. So it's all kind of weather depending on them when they can get here, as quick as they can get here. I am in the process of working on that mill overlay for the track. I hope to have that ready and put out and bid here in the next few weeks, and hopefully we can get that put on the table by next month is the plan. We'll see how things go. It's been a little bit slow and hitchy. The technology department has been installing the donated Aruba access points, the wireless points that we got for building parking lots at the SCCC, the high school, Spainhour, Benton, BMS, and central office. They've deployed and verified testing software on 2,000 plus machines. Distribution has got this annual inventory requests out to everyone to get done by the end of school. Seems to be progressing nicely. We ordered one board member asked me about the look in the HVACs over at Southeast. We ordered some louver dividers. We ordered one louver divider. We're gonna get that in. If I get it in, if anybody happens to be able to swing by there, you can take a look at it. If that's acceptable, we'll put them around the rest of them. Let's see. I'm also in the process of working on bidding walk-in freezers and refrigerators at the high school and out here. And we'll talk about dishwashers at high school later this evening. Lots of things. I don't know. I think I got everything, the major things. Still working on the boiler bid at Beaker and the HVAC bid at Eastwood. The Eastwood's just it's a little different than it was at Southeast. I thought it was going to be as simple as it was at Southeast, but it's proven to be a little bit more difficult because at Southeast we had some holes that were already through the roof, and the companies don't want to drop another hole in there, so we're trying to figure out the best way to set the units. They talked about a solution on the ground. I didn't really like that. Trying to figure out a way to get those units on the roof, so we're still working on both that and the Beaker HVAC. Pest control's coming up. I'm starting to work on that too. Let's see.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
On the roof access HVACs, is there any weight limit to the building? I mean, can they support that?
The units are they're one room units, most of them, so they're not real big. So
Okay.
per foot or per inch, it shouldn't be an issue on any of our roofs, even
Okay.
our weaker ones, because I don't even think they're going to put big enough units that will do 2 rooms. I think the way they're looking at it, they're going to split some of the rooms at Southeast, we were able to put 1 unit on 2 rooms, but I think the way it is at Eastwood, the way it's setting up, it looks like we're going to have single units, so they're probably going to be fairly small units. We talked about on the ground, we talked about putting fences around them, but there's so many things that can happen with that kind of equipment when it's sitting down on the ground, fence or no fence.
Get stolen.
So we're rethinking, reimagining what that's going to look like, so.
Roof would definitely be the best place.
I'm sorry, please.
Thank you. Ask which roof was that?
That was at Eastwood, the one the roof issue, whoever asked that, so. That's all I have for now.
Dr. Mayor?
I'm going to move over here where I can see and have a microphone.
We gotta move that control panel.
Is this on?
We gotta get that control panel.
Can you hear me? Wesley, I guess I will just give you the cue whenever to advance the slide, okay? Okay, you may go. We have been working this week on different considerations that have to do with the returning to learning plan. Since the Saline County Health Department has lowered the level and designated it at level 1. There were several instances where I took a look at the Saline County dashboard to see the numbers and to figure out then how this was going to be interpreted through the Returning to Learning plan. Before we started talking about what the numbers would mean, I did take a survey. All the administrative team and the Returning to Learning committee were invited to participate. I did only have 15 that participated, but up here is the return and the results of that survey. The first one, and I may have to move so that I can see what it says. The first one says that MPS should remain in phase 2 for the rest of the year. 12 people disapproved with that. And if you'll look in the purple, that indicates votes where the Returning to Learning plan would be changed if we looked at these survey results only. You can see that taking temperatures at doors was pretty much a split decision. So I would imagine then that we will continue to do that at the building level principal's discretion. MPS should transition to phase 1 when the Saline County Health Department moves to level 1. 13 individuals did agree with that. And then in phase 1, masks should be optional. And 10 people agreed with that. Later on, I will show a slide as to where I think the wording of the Returning to Learning plan will be changed. And I do want to emphasize that if the board is in agreement and if the administrative team is in agreement and we do go to optional mask, teachers will still retain the right to wear a mask and require their students to wear a mask in their classroom. So although things may change, if teachers feel strongly about that, we will respect that. In phase 1, social distancing should be enforced. Yes, that was agreed. Quarantine should end. People did not think that that should go into effect. There would be no mitigating strategies in phase 1. People did not agree with that either. And then if the numbers were below phase 1, meaning no level, no phases, then most people agreed that the mitigating strategies should be removed. Okay, Wesley. And you'll just have to click through these. So in our Returning to Learning plan, it does say that phase 1 will be reinstated when the Saline County 14-day average cases are below 0.647. Yesterday, the average was 0.642, and today it is 0.428. As in the plan, as written, if the numbers stay low for 3 consecutive days, the Marshall Public Schools then will begin to transition into phase 1. Okay, Wesley. And then that transition will take place on Monday, April 26th. The Returning to Learning plan says that we will give 3 days of notice so that parents and the community can transition into a different phase. And of course, it's more than 3 days from now. So if that decision is made, then it will take place April the 26th. Here are some comments by the Returning to Learning Committee. They want to keep the Wednesdays for PD and distance learning. Social distancing and hand washing should be included. We did talk about the Wednesdays, and we did decide as the administrative team that we felt they were very important for this year. We've still got kids learning at a distance. We've still got things that are just not back to normal. So we would like to keep Wednesdays for PD And as you remember, when the board approved the calendar for next year, Wednesdays are 12:30 out days. We would end the temperature checks at the discretion of the building level leader. Okay, you can go ahead. Increase the number of kids on the playground. They asked if kids could now go out in bigger groups. Students rotate instead of teachers. This is mostly at the middle school. And plan the end of the year celebrations. That's kind of been up in the air as to whether we're going to do that or not. And there were a couple of comments from the committee that they would like to go ahead and plan those celebrations. And then there was a comment that changes should be made for summer school after regular school is out. So those will be all considerations that will be made also. And the next slide. These are the recommendations by the administrative team. Optional wearing of masks by students and staff, but teachers may require masks in their classroom. Buildings will attempt to social distance at 3 feet. That hasn't been possible since last March in some buildings, or since we came back to school. Spectators may not exceed 75% for activities inside the facilities. There is no limit for outside events. The Acellus program will be used for distance learning. That will be continued. Taking temperatures upon entry to school, again, is decided by the building administration. Upon appropriate number for 3 days, phase 1 will be reinstated. And if appropriate, as I said before, the phase 1 will begin Monday, April the 26th. Let's move now from, and the DESE and the federal government is changing the term learning loss, which we've talked about for the last year, how our kids have suffered such a learning loss, to learning acceleration. And that's what we really want to do here in Marshall. We want to accelerate the kids' learning, catch them up, move them forward, and we have plans to do that. One of those plans, and probably the biggest thing, biggest change in this community, is we're going to sponsor 2 sessions of summer school. Learning recovery and trying to catch up will be in June, and the High Flyers Workshop will be July mornings. And the High Flyers Workshop, Wesley, I don't know if I explained that again. Okay. The High Flyers Workshop will be kind of a boost to next year's learning in reading and math. Transportation will be provided for both sessions, June and July. And we have to remember that PD is very important for teachers and administrations to accelerate teaching and learning. We have to have both. Next year, how we are planning to accelerate learning, after-school learning workshops and/or Saturday school, more technology upgrades, that's a definite. We are going to use our ESSER funding, formerly known as CARES, to repair or replace much of our HVAC systems, roofs, windows, doors. There are lots and lots of places around our campus and in every building that needs repair for better circulation and better protection for kids. And we're going to purchase probably 5 buses. We haven't decided on that exactly, but we're going to purchase buses so the kids can spread out more. Moving to salaries and benefits, Jim Paprick and I have worked together. This is our 7th year we've worked together. We're getting to where we kind of know each other and know how each other thinks. So there are things that we have to remember about anytime you look at a salary schedule and the changes for it. When the base salary is raised, it affects everything. It affects all the columns, all the rows of teacher salary. It affects classified staff salary, extra duty pay, retirement. It affects everything. So the increase in insurance this year alone, the increase was $215,000. Next year, and I am going to propose the salary base, but as I have said many, many years, for a long time now. We cannot continue to support huge insurance increases, and it's just become the way of the world. So I am suggesting to the board that we go ahead and fund the $635 per month per employee, and I'm recommending that we cap that for the 2022 and 2023 years. What happened this year is that the insurance company, we have always said, you must keep our payments below $600. So they said, okay, we're going to keep it below $600, but when we do that, we're going to raise the deductible to $7,000. Now, to me, that's not really doable for a lot of people. And so we looked at that. The next suggestion from the insurance company was we can give you coverage for $635 a month per employee, and the deductible will stay at $4,000, which to me is still a lot. But that was the closest we could get. And I agreed with the CTA for this year that I would recommend to the board payment of $635 a month for insurance coverage, capping that for the next 2 years. So when we look at increases in salaries, and there are certain examples of how much a base salary would be with a 1.5% increase and a 2% raise, the recommendation that I am making is adding $1,000 to the base, which will make our base at $37,000, which is actually very good for this area. It is an increase, however, of salaries, insurance, retirement, extra duties, everything. It is an increase of about $620,000. So that is a lot of money. Right now, the way the economy is going and the way things are looking and the revenue from the government, although that's not going to last for forever, it is here now, and some districts, not in Missouri because it's illegal in Missouri, but some districts have given teachers bonuses for their hard work through COVID. Our Constitution and the Teacher Tenure Act says that you cannot do that in Missouri. What I think is a way to honor our teachers and a way to continue to encourage them is to put as much as we possibly can on the base, and that would raise our base by $1,000. Here then is a comparison of all of the schools in our district, and if you saw my email today, and if you didn't, you might take a look at it tomorrow, responding to an article in the Moberly newspaper about Marshall having the lowest average salaries in the conference, and that is just inaccurate, but you can take a look at that if you want to. There is a comparison. You will see that all of our schools in our conference and all the surrounding schools, except for Boonville, pay 100% of insurance, and they are all over $600. A lot of money, a lot of effort goes into trying to figure out how in the world to pay that type of insurance and maintain a base that is healthy for our beginning teachers and attractive for us to recruit teachers. If you will notice, and this is just a fact, I'm not whining about it, it's just a fact, we have a levy that is much lower than everyone else's. So for us to be able to continue to pay 100% of insurance and provide a salary base that is that attractive, I think is going to continue to take some real effort, continue to take some very conservative approaches to some areas, but to also always keep in mind that we want a very healthy and happy school culture. I know money isn't everything, but it is a lot. So, okay, Wesley. As everyone knows, we are going through an audit, an external audit from the state auditor's office. And to be totally open and transparent with what is going on with that in the central office, I want to thank Linda, Dawn, Stacy, and Ashley, who have worked tremendously hard and put in a lot of time and answered the phone even when it says Jefferson City 7 times a day to work with the state auditors and to provide all the information they want, and believe me, there's a lot. And you can see here everything that they have asked us for, everything we have been able to turn over to them. It has been actually a pleasant experience. They had written to us and told us if they found anything that was drastic or that needed to be changed right away, they would let us know, and they haven't. So you can see all of the information that they've asked. Right now, today, they were going over our bidding process and how we purchase and allow and reward bids and contracts, et cetera. So it's a lot of work, but I think when we get the results back and it shows that we do a good job and work really hard in this district, I think all of our work will be worth it. I would like to, new Mr. President, propose a board retreat sometime. I think it's always good at reorganization to look at and think about a retreat where the board can have time to actually look and talk and think about things that require big picture thinking. So some of those things that I think that should be reviewed and reviewed in a session that is longer and maybe a little bit more relaxed than an actual formal board meeting would be the review and the expansion of the strategic plan, which the completion of the strategic plan ready to hand off to the buildings will be next week next month at the board meeting. Talk about teaching and learning, what we know about those two things and what we were doing in the district and the direction in which we want to go. Our facilities, of course, we do need to think about lots of plans, and we need to look at 20 years down the road at our facilities and the shape they'll be in and what we would like to do to provide for our kids. Finance is always an area that is interesting and that is daunting sometimes, but it's a good feeling to know where we stand and where we're going financially. Public relations is important for any organization, and of course, the school board is no exception. And then there are some board self-evaluation activities that have proven to be interesting and helpful for boards. And I believe, Leslie, is that? So a celebration that we have, I did want to, and I wish she was here. I thought maybe, I'm certain she's out at an activity. But Kristen Niemeyer was named the North Central Missouri Activities Director of the Year by MISHA. There she is at her ceremony receiving her award. We're very proud of her. She works so hard, and she shows our pride every day. So I'm going to send this out to the whole district, and we congratulate Kristen and thank her. Do you have any questions for me? Thank you.
I do not. Thank you. Program reports. In your package, you had a report from CETA, PDC, Special Ed. Are there any questions about those reports that you had? Ms. Durham, were you expecting to give a report tonight? No. Okay, all right. Didn't know if you were preparing yourself to talk or not. So, all right. Mr. Wilcoxon. And of course, Ms. Angel Howe. If you all are coming together or separately. Separately, all right. rearrange the room as you need to, sir.
Good evening. We're good now, Wesley? Thank you. Good evening. As noted, I'm Brian Wilcox. I'm the director of the Saline County Career Center. Outside of the items noted in my board report within your packet, I'd like to touch on just a couple things. First, the SECC faculty has been diligently working on IRC testing, planning educational celebrations, maintaining the grounds, and performing some spring cleaning around the Career Center in preparation for enrollment and sending school tours as well as other upcoming events. Second, recently we have taken possession of the building from Fitzgibbon Hospital. With help and direction from members of our COE team, we have developed a basic plan for the layout of the facility. While more detailed plans are being developed, Mr. Pitts and his building trade students have utilized bad weather days to work on minor demolition projects within the building. So we are progressing on that, beginning to move slowly as of right now. Finally, I want to take a moment to recognize the magnificent staff of the Saline County Career Center. I want to make sure my report to the board communicates what a blessing they are, not only to our students, but to me. It's been a little over 1.5 months since I was reassigned to be the director of the Saline County Career Center. During that time, the staff at the Career Center has been helping to pull me along, all the while continuing to provide for our students. And while I may have been designated as their quote-unquote leader, they have led me in more ways than they realize. As I have navigated my job and observed these things, I know. I hope to have the foresight Tracy Crumbaugh has shown within her classes. Daniel Danks has inspired me to be a better version of myself. Gary Epperson has been a great example for me as I attempt to multitask within my job. I've learned from Debbie Foffel that you always give your all for the kids, but there's no disgrace in rejoicing about retirement. Betty Gorel is selfless and motivates me to be less selfish. I hope I have half the compassion I've seen in Carrie Henley. Julie McCammon has proven in her unassuming way that joy is infectious. Chris Pitts has reinstated my confidence that, yeah, I can do that. Lorena Reyes has taught me the reward of investing in your students and your people. Leanne Riley provides me a model of how to continually give of yourself for the benefit of others. Heather Teachins, who's here with me tonight, has shown me how to lead through trying times. I learned from Nancy Wiseman what it means to have a caring heart and how to make someone feel welcome. McKaylee Lorenz, Megan Roth, and Carol Jean Swazik have reinforced for me the importance of teamwork and building relationships with your students. Danielle Callanan has shown me what organization and preparedness looks like and helps me as I strive to meet the gold standard of organization that I saw and continue to see working with Mr. Verts. Within what may seem like insurmountable tasks, Laura Jackson has taught me what persistence looks like. Mary Keller continually amazes me with her forward thinking and passion for all things SCCCC. I think I put one too many C's in there. Eric Clark has provided me with guidance anytime I have asked, and he is the biggest cheerleader and booster of the Saline County Career Center, and I am getting on his bus. Finally, Cindy Lamparter is a godsend. She has taught me what it is to be the anchor for an organization, the person that everybody goes to when they need support, and I hope that I can provide support like her. So outside of that, I'd just like to ask if you have any questions. Otherwise, that kind of concludes my board report.
Oh, I think that was wonderful.
Your paperwork was fantastic, and your accommodations to your staff were even better, so thank you.
Good job, Brian. Thanks, Brian.
This is Angel Hall, you get to follow that.
I feel like I'm far enough away from everyone, I'm going to take that off. Thank you for giving me a minute to speak tonight. I wanted to, I'll keep this very brief, but I don't get to talk about our building or our programs very often, so I just want to kind of brag on them. I think the biggest, most obvious thing we've achieved, if you will, I don't know if that's the right word this year, is we have a great new building. And we are so grateful and blessed for this wonderful space. The classrooms are large, and it's wonderful to be able to spread out and give these children lots of room. A lot of the children in our building need a little more space maybe than most children. So that's been a great thing, and very, very grateful for that. As you know, Northwest is composed of 3 basic alternative programs, if you will. We have the gifted program, we have the options room, and then we have our TLC program. So Mrs. Peel, I just want to brag on her for a minute. She is in charge of the GATE program, and they have just been doing an amazing job this year, doing all kinds of great things. They work on individual cognitive needs. Some of these areas our students working include independent research and projects. Some of these things you've probably never heard of, because I didn't until I'm being faced with them. Co-spaces. These kids are designing these augmented realities that are incredible. They are unrealistic, which is what they are, I guess. They are, during their off season, because of course with COVID, the robotics has kind of taken a different look, but they're still really doing a lot of activities there. They're working with Autodesk, Tinkercad. They purchased 3D printers, which are super cool. I don't know if anybody has ever actually seen those in person. I brought a couple little things. There's a little keychain, actually a little backpack tag. One student designed an earbud holder. So these are really cool. It's just fascinating not only to watch the process, but to watch those children and their eyes light up as they are creating these things. And it's definitely a learning curve there. They're learning through trial and error, which is pretty neat. They also address social and emotional needs through the Missouri Gifted Social Emotional Learning Curriculum, Mind Up curriculum for younger students, which is based on the 4 pillars: neuroscience, social emotional learning, positive psychology, mindful awareness, and brain-based learning with gifted students for older students. Also, they have specialized instruction to help prepare students to contribute successfully to our global society, utilizing resources like future problem solving, human environmental impact lessons, and with Earth Day coming up, that's been a big thing here. Advanced learning labs, which incorporate current events, creativity, critical thinking, and art. So Mrs. Peel is working so hard, and it's amazing to watch her because she never misses a beat and never slows down, and she pushes in. She's a big part of the Project Lead the Way, that she does a lot of enrichment. I can't say enough about her. But not only her, I have a fabulous staff. Everyone does a great job. Just 2 seconds here on our options room, which is kind of a new thing Mr. Verts and I kind of came up with last year and have incorporated this year. And it kind of has 3 components. One of the biggest things is it serves students from other buildings when they've had an unfortunate incident and it's required disciplinary action, which would usually be OSS. They are able to serve that time in our options room, which, as we all know, is way better than sending them home. You know, they are there serving their time, still keeping up on their schoolwork and getting their education. Another component is sometimes it's just a really nice breakout time for some of our students in the building. Maybe they need a quiet time, a quiet place. Mr. Solomon in there does some individualized instruction with a lot of those students. It's a great setting for that, just a change of scenery. And then also it serves as kind of an ISS room for our TLC students when that's needed. And then the third component is our Therapeutic Learning Center, which has been, gosh, I believe that was, I think it began in 2015, I believe. But we have an amazing staff there also. They never tire. It is amazing the patience these people show day in and day out. And it can become a very physical job too, and they never seem to tire. We work hard to individualize instruction for students, meeting them where they are. One of the biggest things we really focus on is building those positive relationships with not only the students but the families. We have a great success rate with that. We strive towards helping students overcome difficulties, deficits that they are struggling with, may cause obstacles in the regular classroom setting. So we're just kind of a different setting for those kids. We work diligently with our behavior interventionist. Stephanie Heisler does an amazing job coming up with intervention after intervention. When you feel like you're like, I don't know what else to try, she always comes up with something new and great. This program is also a very important support system for the regular buildings, because as we all know, if there is a kiddo struggling, giving that kiddo a separate space to receive his or her education really enables the rest of the classroom to proceed without distractions and interruptions. We consider ourselves trauma-informed. We're not quite to the trauma care yet, but we're working on it. I think if COVID wouldn't have hit, we would have probably gotten there. But all of us have had trauma training, and next year I would encourage that to continue because I think that's very important. Most of our kids have had some sort of trauma that they're trying to deal with and overcome. One positive thing we do in our building is we hand out SOAR tickets. SOAR stands for being safe, being on task, acting responsibly, and being respectful. So it's kind of like catching them being good. So we have these little blue SOAR tickets with owls on them, and if they are caught being good, the teacher or the staff or whoever gives them a little SOAR ticket. And then every Friday we have like a little drawing for a little prize, and they get some special one-on-one time, they get a little treat, stuff like that. So I feel like we have an absolutely fabulous building and a fabulous staff. I am so grateful for the people that I work with. And our motto every day is we strive for progress, not perfection. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your report, and good luck in your next chapter. I know this might be one of your last meetings with us. Moving on to old business, return to learning plan.
As I spoke in my report, and I did send you my recommendations, the agreement that we came to a while back was that if there was to be a change to returning to learning plan, I would communicate that with the Board of Education. For over 24 hours, people would think about it and respond to me. It's been a while since I sent those recommendations to you. I have not heard from anyone except that they do support the recommendations that I sent. So although it is not a policy and doesn't require voting, I really would like to have the sense, and I'm sure our entire Marshall Public Schools family would like to know that the board understands and is ready to move to transition to phase one.
I have a concern about one detail in all of this, and that was the masks optional for teachers. Let me rephrase that. Some teachers could require masks and others would not. So let's say I'm that teacher who wants to require masks, and I happen to have students in the classroom whose parents think that I'm trying to somehow politically indoctrinate them or something, that I don't believe in whichever article they've sent me or whatever. How are we going to protect our teachers? How are we going to inform the community that the teacher's choice is the teacher's choice? Are we not setting teachers up for, like I like this one more than I like that one. This one's doing things right, that one's not.
And I tried to think long and hard about how to approach this, because I do know that there are some teachers who are very strongly committed to the idea of continuing to wear masks.
And there are some who are on the other side of it too.
Right.
And there are some, actually, it's all over the place.
Right.
But I think and this will have to be on the shoulders of the building principal. And so if any of the principals here have thought about that situation, moving towards that situation, I will meet with the building principals. We have a administrative team meeting coming up. I will meet with them, talk to them about what they think. We need to get some guidelines in place. If parents and the teacher cannot agree, then we'll have to figure out something that is acceptable to parents and teacher also.
And teachers also.
But that may be a student would have to, say, transition to a launch program, or they would need to transition to another setting. But I don't want to, in every way possible, I would like to keep this from being so political that it keeps students from advancing and families from having trust in us. Now, that's a big, big order, but.
Couldn't we circumvent that by just giving the teacher,
An option.
everyone the choice to wear it or not?
Yeah.
That way, if I'm a teacher, I got 3 kids that don't want to wear a mask, I'm not going to send them out of the room, but I will wear my mask. We
Right.
just need to make that optional, and I think that would go away.
And I do believe the wording is that masks are optional, and,
Yeah.
But some teachers could require it in the
Yeah, I was gonna say that was the
but
only
I do
time.
think that
go
there will
away.
be teachers who will not feel comfortable teaching in a classroom with kids who don't have masks on.
I mean, we do have teachers, I think, to my recollection, there was at least one I think I know about, who has health concern. But let's just put it as a pure hypothetical. Let's say I'm a teacher, I've got some sort of health concern, and my physician has said I shouldn't have the vaccine, right? But the physician has also said it would be best to continue to follow whatever guidelines for other mitigation strategies to protect yourself. So then I'm that teacher who is wearing a mask and requiring students in my classroom to do so as well. I'm with you in terms of making sure that building level administrators support the teachers in making their choice. But the buck doesn't just stop with the building level administrators, right? It travels up to us and to you as
Absolutely.
well.
Absolutely.
So it can't be something where the right parent calls with a complaint and all of a sudden we've got problems and issues. As long as we're being consistent, you mentioned guidelines. That sounds like a good approach.
And I am sorry, but I could not hear the last 2 sentences you said.
I said, as long as it's not, like, we can't have just like the one right parent calls in and all of a sudden now the teacher is anathema and the teacher
Yeah.
has done everything wrong and now we're finding reasons to say that the teacher is unfit, right? So we would need to have some guidelines so that it isn't just a whoever gets to the microphone first kind of
We do have to
situation.
have guidelines, and they do have to be consistent. You're
And we need to
correct.
stand behind our employees.
That's right.
That's
Correct.
where it lies. But I do have a question. I want to go back. Did you say teachers were going to be, it's going to be mandatory for them to wear masks? I just
No.
wanted to make sure I got that clear.
It's optional for teachers and students.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was clear.
Yeah, that's kind of where the contradiction came in, because
Right.
it was optional and mandatory that got mentioned at the same time, and I had wrote the same comment
Over
down that
here
you
when I
did,
was-
Aaron,
like, so when I'm-
you know, what if I've got students who now all of a sudden refuse to wear a mask in my classroom when I'm mandating it, now I have behavioral issues, I have other things going on that have taken away from the learning environment, and I've overclouded the issue of wearing a mask.
Right.
Now I've turned it into something else.
Right.
And it's a power struggle that, you know, we've entered into or something else, so we may need to look at how we're gonna handle that particular
Yeah, I think that-
piece before we put that.
Maybe when we have our administrative team meeting to hash all this out, to set these guidelines, make sure it's totally understood, are there a couple board members who would like to attend that meeting so that we all make sure that we understand what's being said and what's being expected? Or I can report to you what the administrators decide.
As always, dealing with COVID, everybody is split. Ed is exactly right, it should be optional. Aaron's exactly right, because there's medical cases that could, put people in different situations. I think it's just very important that our community understands that they need to be supportive, and whatever that decision that is made by administration, that we are supportive and we help our students get the education they need and be glad they're in the classroom.
Amen.
And when I had announced in my report that the transition would be on the 26th, that will give board members, after thinking and listening to others and discussing, time again to call me and to let me know if my recommendation or the administrative team recommendation is something that, or if there's parts of it that need to be reconsidered.
I think if you send that out to us whenever you find out exactly how that's gonna look, maybe
Okay.
after you talk to your team, if you wanna send us out maybe a date or something so that we know when the meeting will be or something, we might be able, someone may be able to attend.
Okay.
But we just more wanna have the information like everyone else, so we know what we're gonna be asked
Okay, that's
at
fine.
different times.
Do you know when that meeting will be?
I do not. I've got to check with all of them and schedule one. I would like to have it maybe on Friday. but I've got to check with them.
Friday.
And there was, I had one last question. This is just for my own clarification. So it seems like what's being put to us is, okay, we would go to, where did I write this down? We're going to go to phase one, even if SCHD does not declare the county to be at phase one. That's the proposal, right?
The county's been at phase one for a whole week already.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I was like,
Yeah.
so wait.
They
are we
moved, I
talking
believe the
about-
county moved last Thursday night.
Yeah, which, again, the reason for my clarification, because I was like, but the numbers say, so, okay, cool. I'm on the same
Harry
page now.
said that he believes that he should be available for a meeting Friday morning.
Okay.
So if there's one set up, but if you want
Okay.
to send us out that time, like I
And-
said, we'll see if anyone else is available.
I'm
and
going to
we-
Morning or
communicate.
afternoon?
We'll keep it under a
Morning would be
quorum.
the more difficult.
Okay, would be more difficult for you?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to communicate this to the district. If we're not able to meet until Friday, then of course we're supposed to transition on Monday. Could you meet on Thursday, Harry? Okay. Maybe we probably should try to give it a day there, so if something changes.
Yeah, Thursday.
All right.
I cancel it, I got Thursday.
Any more questions or comments about the Return to Learn plan? No? All right. Moving down, new business, E-rate category 2, BMS service closet.
So we thought we were going to lay off for 1 year on E-rate category 2 until the switch at Beaker started giving us fits, and so we got back in the hunt, which it worked out because we were able to pick up some things for the nursing program building as well. So this is right around the ballpark that we typically spend in. We usually spend between $20,000 and $25,000 of our own money out of the technology budget. This is the 80-20 monies, so we cover 20%, E-rate covers 80%. So just asking for, and that's pretty explanatory. It's networking and access control, which is wireless out at the building out there for SCCC. And then it's just one big old bad switch that covers 2 floors of Beaker. It's a 64 port, that's why it's so expensive, it's a big one, so. Just asking for approval on those 2 items for category 2 this year.
And CTS was the only company that,
CTS, yes, we had one other company, that goes out on a statewide wire, and we had one other company that presented a bid, but they presented some stuff they wanted to sell, which wasn't what we asked for. We asked for some specific things, for specific switch, specific access control. They sent us one every time around. It covers all the things they sell, and if you happen to see something on there that you like, then you pick that off there. So that was the only other bidder we had.
I'll make a motion for this, and then I've got a question once we've got a
Yes.
second.
I'll make a second.
Okay, so then what are we looking at with installation timelines, et cetera?
Installation?
Yeah.
For the switch and things? Well, there's a lot of things proposing to happen at Beaker this summer, so this summer.
Hope, okay.
It's going to happen this summer. They'll be up on the second, third floor with this. There's an elevator in the middle of the building, and there's possibly a boiler in the basement, so this won't be in the nursing building, it just kind of it may not be this summer because the structure of the building and the layout has to be built and put in before we run wiring and cable for the access control, but Wesley and Keeper are pretty quick. Once we get the interior of the nursing program building the way they want it, it won't take that long to get wires run and the wireless for these other things. The big one is definitely the switch at Beaker, but they've told me that it's coming in this summer. So I don't think we're going to be able to wait much longer. Our switch is starting to fail more regularly. So
I'm pretty sure it's over a decade old.
yeah, it's starting to give us lots of issues. So it will definitely be, the switch will be this summer. The access and the cabling out at the nursing program, I plan it to be this fall. Once we get to a place where they say we can get in there, we're going to get in there. So.
Just for information's sake, underneath the 80-20 split, the E-rate would cover $106,497.44. The district would be responsible for $23,875.24.
Thank you.
Combination on both.
It's been moved and seconded. Any
Call
more
question?
questions? Discussion? All right. All those in favor? Opposed? All right. Internet access and wiring for the new
That's the
Tech
nursing,
building?
those were both.
You
just
combined them,
approved
that's
both
what I
of
was
those.
making sure. Bank depository bid.
So it's every 3 years, we put out for the bank bid. There was a little wrinkle this year. So historically, the school district uses the 91-day T-bill as their benchmark. And the difference between the 91-day T-bill and the percent that the local banks bid us is basically the margin, the amount over the 91-day T-bill. This year, we had 3 bidders. Exchange Bank bid 0.87% above the T-bill, 91-day T-bill benchmark. Community Bank bid 0.25%, and Wood Houston bid a flat 1%, so they bid different than the bidding than we had them bid, but they bid a minimum of 1 percentage point until so they're guaranteeing a floor rate of 1%. That index rate is actually at 0.55. So for them, once the T-bill crosses the 1% point, 1 percentage mark, then they would drop back to their 0.55%, and they would end up being 0.55 once the rate rises above $1. So let me give you an example. Right now, I think this morning when I checked the T-bill rate, and so when COVID hit, historically the T-bill runs about 4.25%. That's over the life of the 91-day T-bill, it has run about 4.25. When COVID hit, it fell flat, and over the last almost year, it's been running at 0.02, 0.03, 0.04, somewhere in there. Looking at the predictions, they're expecting as the COVID comes to a close, the T-bill rates are going to start rising again. I've heard different reports, but anywhere from 0.13 to 0.15, some as high as 0.2, that the T-bill could rise by the end of the year. Who can say? I don't know. But if you took today's example to show you where they would be at, that the 0.03 rate of the T-bill, Wood Houston is saying that we're going to give you the flat 1%. Community would be giving you 0.28 because they bid 0.25, and Exchange Bank would be giving you 0.9%. If we were bidding the bank bids annually, which it's a lot of work to try to bid this process because it changes our checking, all of our paperwork, our envelopes, everything. So that's the reason why we bid it every 3 years. If we were bidding it annually, then it would probably be, there's a good chance it'd be in our interest it would be a 0.10% that Wood Houston would be over community on this day. But as it rises, and I'm sorry, not community, Exchange continues to rise on top of that with their 0.87, they're basically within 0.1% of Wood Houston, and if it climbs to anything above 0.13, if it rises a tenth, Exchange will rise ahead of that. I don't know if I explained that well enough, but so it's a little tricky, I understand, but it's a little bit more difficult for you to figure, to decide, because you're really you're trying to decide, not necessarily for this year, but over the next couple of years, if that T-bill climbs back anywhere to where it's been, it's going to be in 2 different places than it is right now.
Basically, what you're saying is the consistency of Exchange over the process is going to be the better choice, is what you're recommending.
I can't hear you.
Basically, what you're stating is that Exchange is going to be the better process bank at this time as far as the bidding because of the fluctuation that Wood Houston has. It's not consistent, and they're already starting us out at a good rate where it will fluctuate. It'll get higher where Wood Houston may drop us below, is what you're
Correct.
stating.
I think that's-
And community honestly is just too low, is what you're stating.
Correct.
Okay.
We're currently with Exchange, right?
We have been with Exchange
For 3.
since I've been here, so I'm not sure who was there before them.
They
I
went
think
on
it was
just
community
about
before
the time I
that,
got
and
on
then
board.
exchange, and I don't know when or if Wood Houston was.
It-
As far as money goes, obviously, I think we know which one, but let's talk about customer service and talk about the position of our payroll. How did they like the current bank that we're with and other banks in the past? Because customer service does go a long way on what you're dealing with whenever people get paid and if they're taking care of the payments. I know in a bank you have situations where people aren't getting their checks or something happened electronically. What are they doing to the customer service part to take care of our employees and the school?
They're very responsive to us when there is something that we need or some glitch has occurred or what, they've always been very responsive. Linda is in charge of accounts payable, so, and Dawn, of course, is in charge of payroll, but as far as I know, we've received good customer service. Would you, I'm sorry.
I think so too. I haven't, personally haven't experienced, I can't speak for Dawn or Linda, but the many number of times that I've worked with them, and that's not to say that I've worked with the other two banks too, and I've gotten great customer service from them as well. But speaking specifically of Exchange, they've been nothing but welcoming, and when I need information or I need some research on something, they've jumped right in and been able to help me out. So I have nothing, and I know of no negative to say that they haven't been good with customer service either. so.
I just whispered with Linda, and she pretty much is doing accounts payable, of course, so those are checks going out, and she doesn't really have a lot of problem with them, she said, at all. And she said that she isn't aware of any payroll problems that have occurred as well, so.
Okay. Well, I've dealt personally and business-wise with all three banks, and I think they all have great service as far as what I've had to deal with. I just wanted to know as far as the banking business with the school, where was.
I can speak of nothing that's even raised a yellow flag to me, so I've been pleased with all the times I've worked with them.
I need to entertain a motion then?
I would like to make a
Three-year bid?
motion.
Yes.
This will be for 2021 through 2023.
Yes, 3 years. It's a 3-year bid.
I make a motion to accept exchange bid for 2021 to 2023.
Second.
All those in favor?
There
Opposed?
you go.
We will move with the Exchange Bank. Elevator repair and replacement, BMS.
He said, good times just keep coming.
Oh, boy.
So before, MEI, who used to be Eagle, I think, was the only company that we could get out here to work on our elevators. It's gotten to be quite a scarce business model, I guess. I don't know. But we were able to get a hold of this All-Rise company, and they gave us references. They gave us lots of information. They came and spoke to Matt and I in person. They ended up being slightly lower on their base bid at $94,000. This is for the elevator repair, replacement, upgrade at Beaker. This is to get us in full elevator compliance with the state, so the elevator lady at the state will get off of my case, because she just won't let up. So the piece in there that might be a little confusing, the base is simple enough to see, but there are alternates. In the MEI bid, and I asked them to price this for me, and they basically said in the section from MEI that there are a number of things, 4 or 5 key things that we have to do to bring our elevator into compliance. When that motherboard went down and we had to replace a significant amount of the system, we had to bring things up to code. There were some things they were checking a box, I guess, all for us because of the older system. But as we bring this new system online, the elevator lady, I shouldn't call her that. She's a fine figure of a woman. But those pieces have to be to code. And what MEI did was just gave a listing of things that were completed by owner, which means that we would be back out trying to figure up all those different pieces. There's 4 or 5 key elements to bring us in compliance. All Rise gave me a bid, so there was no surprises on that for that alternate of $32,500. We have to bring it to compliance to be able to operate it. We're kind of caught. There's been a lot of years since that elevator's had work done on it. The board that was in it that went down, they tried to rebuild it. They tried to find one. Must not be in existence anymore. So, so the total bid then, so the base bid of $94,000 from All Rise and $94,600 from MEI, simple enough to see, they were the lower bidder on that. I'm recommending All Rise Elevator Company. I spoke to several people. I looked at the references. This brings, that total of $126,500 brings us to complete compliance and a working elevator that reaches all 3 floors and doesn't stop somewhere in between.
Okay, that 126.5 includes the replacing the power unit, or you're saying subtracting the 16,000
Are we
and
gonna
using
use
the
the old
existing
power
power
unit?
unit? Because it's been all written together.
Yes, we're going to use the old power unit. I forgot, I'm sorry.
How difficult is it to replace the power unit?
Yes.
And what is the benefit of keeping the old power unit? I mean, is it okay, or
It's
are we
okay.
just
It's only,
putting a Band-Aid on something?
the MEI wanted to replace it because they wanted a different brand in there. MEI wanted all different brands in there. When All Rise looked at it, he said it's not even 10 years old. You shouldn't, you don't have to replace it unless you just want to, but they gave me the impression that it had easily another 10, 15 years in it.
It feels like the problems with that elevator are mechanical, not electronic.
Well, there's part of the alternates that we have to fix deal with mechanical.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
But
yeah.
the main drive portion is the motherboard. It is electronic.
Oh,
The
okay.
main lifting drive, but you're right, there are some mechanical, there's multiple issues.
Yeah.
That, all the way from lighting and,
Right, I mean, far be it from me, I am no elevator expert.
Well,
I
I've
am
become-
not the elevator lady. That is not me. But what I can tell you is that it would be better to have, so here's my question prior to a motion. So what kind of guarantees are we looking at here with getting into compliance? Not,
Yeah.
I mean, and then there's the warranty.
Yeah, is this a warranty
thereafter.
situation? I didn't read anything in there that covered anything.
the guarantee of compliance is a must. That's the
Oh, that's right. All-
that was out for everybody. We have to be in compliant, and when MEI wouldn't give me, they wanted to come on site basically and start fixing some of these mechanicals, some of these fire alarms, some of these lighting and stuff, and they didn't want to give me a price, and I'm like, that scares me a lot. But no, when talking to All Rise, I'll have to go back through here to see what his warranty was. I know it was a year on, it was a year on all parts and labor. I think there was a couple of the a couple of the pieces that went a little bit longer than a year, but primarily a year to get us up and going.
And I assume that, there we go, shall comply with all applicable local elevator codes and current building conditions. Wait, whoa. I'm looking after these checklists. Here's where my eye started to cross. All right, so after these checklists, we've got a paragraph. It starts before point 2, work by others. All right, this paragraph here starts with this sentence: the elevator equipment installed under this agreement shall comply with all applicable local elevator codes unless current building conditions won't allow. So that's part of what made me, now that I know that we have an authority figure in the mix, I'll call her by name, that's part of what makes me wonder, will the elevator lady give this the thumbs up? What if she doesn't? Do we have any guarantees in a situation like that?
That was a specific, almost point blank question that I asked of the All Rise gentleman, that I had to get this late, I have to satisfy the state. I didn't realize there was a state elevator lady, but I have to satisfy, and I said to him, will the entire, what you're offering in the package, alternate package, will we be in full compliance? And he said, this will put you in full compliance. So I would double check that with him again before we offer, but that, I point blank asked him that, because that's the reason for this. And it was the reason that scared me with MEI, because I couldn't get anybody to respond to me other than, well, you'll just have to find some people that can do some of that stuff, and then we'll give you price on site. And we couldn't get to a place where we were talking apples to apples. And the All Rise guy told me right up front, all state, local, state, and federal elevator laws, or that he told me.
I think those are just blanket bid statements.
Language.
Because voluntary alternate 2 says, will provide turnkey services in compliance with the State of Missouri Division of Fire Safety Elevator Safety Unit requirements for permitted elevator modernization. So he's guaranteeing compliance with the
Yeah,
state.
that's what he told me. He said, you will be, because I told him the same elevator story, and he said, that will take care of that.
And we as a school don't have to comply with any special codes or et cetera? We just have to comply with state, local, federal?
We follow state guidelines. As long as we meet, they're very comprehensive. We have annual checks, and if the slightest thing is out, we get dinged for it, and it has to come into compliance. So and they work all over, they work throughout the state of Missouri, so he's familiar with the state codes, and his word to me was, this will bring you in compliance.
A lot of schools on that list.
Any other discussion? I noticed there were not.
When do we expect that to be completed for the
That's an issue. He told me that if it was board approved this evening, what is this, April? If they could I was hoping it would get done in the summer. He gave me on October 15th completion. I'm hopeful that is an outside to cover the time. So I'm hoping it's before school, but I'm not guaranteeing it.
How long does it take to complete that job?
26 weeks is what he's anticipating.
26 weeks to complete it?
Yeah, that's half a year.
Yeah. I'm just worried about, obviously,
Me
how they're
too.
maneuvering the children now. I know that has to be very
It's difficult.
Well,
difficult.
if we're not in compliance, we wouldn't be able to use it.
We're not using it right now.
So-
I guess the
No.
timeline doesn't change.
They're
Stuck in it.
moving the
That's
kid,
scary.
they have to move the children, and that's an issue. And that's also very laborsome on each person.
And I
who's involved.
apologize regularly to Paula every time I see her, so.
Maybe if you can check with them on the timeline too, that would be something I'd be curious about, if that is a very loose timeline, or if we're giving ourselves plenty of time, or if we can possibly push them into getting something done by the beginning of the school year, as far as a deadline on the contract.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look it up.
We'd like to have it in
Okay.
working order and not have
Yeah, me
25
too.
other maintenance.
I was a little
guys
surprised. I
running
was
around.
hopeful it wasn't gonna take that long, but,
Let's-
like,
MEI is saying 6 weeks lead time on equipment and then 5 weeks to complete, so maybe he's just
I think
buffering.
I'll double check. I asked him that, is that a farm and fast? And he said, no, he was just making sure he gave us some room, but I don't know how much room he gave himself, so.
In the MEI bid, I also noticed a lot of it was contingent on, if we find this, then we'll charge extra labor for this. You know,
MEI
if this
wasn't-
works out, then, and it's over 8 hours, then we'll charge by union labor hour for every hour to complete after.
And they do too, I'm telling you. when
So
they
their
come.
bid is very loose, where it seemed like the other one was all inclusive.
Well,
and
they've
they
been
were
our
gonna-
only person, and we've had no choice. They've come in, we've had to pay whatever when they come in and say, this has to be we've replaced so many fittings and gaskets, and they just say, oh, and by the way, you gotta fix this too, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, that just looks like a change order happy quote.
I move we accept the All Rise contingent upon you making questions as to pushing up the due date.
I will do
and
a little
making sure
bit
that
more.
we'll satify all regulatory requirements as well,
It does.
which it should, but.
And it may, if, we may have to go ahead and push in there right now with school going on, so if they can get there, we'll get there.
I'll second.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Moving down to E, extra duty stipend recommendations or adjustment for the 21-22 school year.
Is there a representative from the, okay, Brian, thank you.
I believe within your all's packet, you got the recommendations from the Extra Duty Stipend Committee. Do you guys have any questions on what was presented and the changes that might be made with this?
Yeah, why don't you walk us through it?
Okay. So as far as duty assignments and changing, what's being recommended is that we add 2 high school football coaches stipends for the offensive and defensive coordinators. In order to do this, we would eliminate 1 freshman coach position, which was not a position that was occupied this previous year. Additionally, we would add a high school girls head wrestling coach to come into compliance with Title IX requirements and making sure that we have that covered. To help with that, an assistant coach's position would be eliminated to help offset that because the numbers don't support us having 3 assistant coaches. There was a suggestion to move an NHS sponsor over, I believe it was over a category at a cost of $200 additional. And the reason for this, with a new sponsor, there were added new requirements for their position and responsibilities. And so that was why that suggestion was made. To the stipend schedule, recommendation to remove 1 of the birdcage sponsors because we only need 1 sponsor. Additionally, move middle school Stuco to category 13, which would allow us to have 2 spots, along with increased expectations with those positions. And that would be, the next line there was to add a middle school Stuco spot. And then to help assist with that would be eliminate the E-Spirit Club, which has not been occupied for some time from the schedule. Total cost for all these changes after you take out the positions that are being removed and the ones that were recommended to be added would be an additional cost of $1,102. Additionally, no cost change, co-FBLA to assistant FBLA in category 13, that was just a title change.
So eliminating the freshman football coach, does that eliminate the freshman football team if there was enough players? How is that going to affect the students?
That is a great question. I do not believe so, but I can't give you exact on that. Paula, can you guys help on the discussion with that?
I was not there for that part of that conversation.
Okay. I wasn't necessarily either, and I'm sorry for that.
Well, I don't think we had the number of kids over the years to field a team of that.
We haven't
I-
had for the last few years, but,
Yeah.
you know,
And it doesn't-
it's
I don't
one of
think
those
it
Would that be
things.
better.
something that one of the assistants would then coach the freshman football team and drop off, is what I was assuming?
Right, we just need to make sure that
Because we would
the-
have a head, 2 assistants, and then we could have an assistant. I'm assuming, I'm not
In
looking
the
at
dis-
structure.
Right,
In the discussions that I was involved with, it was not mentioned that that would eliminate our freshman football program. In fact, I would,
just
Go
want to
on
make
the
sure the
contrary.
coaches were covering and that we weren't eliminating something.
Yep.
If the numbers were there, we don't know anything.
yep, that's a valid concern and something,
But want to make sure that we're asking the right questions for the kids.
absolutely.
I would have the same question about birdcage. If that's, are we moving to 1 person that will run the entire birdcage? So that's, I mean, do 700 kids in our high school, that's 1 person that could potentially be at over 500 or 600 kids.
The responsibilities within the birdcage sponsorship have changed a little bit. Stuco has taken over some of the previous responsibilities of that, and so the demand on this sponsor was
Okay.
less.
I would just worry that we want to encourage kids to be a part of things, and if we take out leadership, that,
Right, and it looks like, so we have the Stuco that's going to help with the birdcage then? 'cause
No,
they're
that's
kinda
middle
taking
school,
over
right?
that?
Middle school.
that's middle
So
school.
it's all middle school, both of those categories
Yeah,
are
the
middle school?
organization here,
So category 13, we're going to have 2, we're adding another position?
So for the middle school, we kind of have restructured the student council. We have 1 person over a lot of kids, so now we have like a 5th and 6th and a 7th, 8th. And I wanted to move it to a different category, give them just a little bit more money. I think it's maybe $100 more, because they were splitting it this year. They split the cost this year. So creating 2 positions, and they're a lot more involved, and the duties have increased from what it was previous.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So the category 13, it's adding $535 to the current position, is my understanding? Is that right?
I do not have that paper in front.
And then we have adding another spot for $893. So I just want to understand, and you said split, so I'm at,
This year, the current step that they're on, and I don't know exactly which one it is without the paper, they split the stipend. So there's two people for the one stipend.
So the 535, move the middle school Stuco to category 13, 535 is what they split. And then the new position would be category 13, 893. Does that,
Split like $1,200 is where they were.
okay, so,
okay.
Is what they were getting about, that's a small version, one at 1,400. They split about, they got about $700 apiece. So if you move them to 13, they now would be getting the 800, whatever, is that category 13?
14, $1,428 is current, and that's what they were splitting, so that explains adding 535 to the, and 893, so now they're both gonna get 1428?
No, they're both getting the, if you move them to the 13, they would both get the $800.
890.
So they both get the 893? Yeah.
How? That doesn't add up to that.
Yeah, the math on this, I mean, granted, I'm an English major, but I,
Total cost be 1,000.
Okay, so I guess I just need to understand that, because if the math is already $1,428, then why are we adding 535
Yeah,
and
what-
893? That adds an additional,
I don't know where the 500 is coming from. They were splitting the $1,400, they were each getting the 700, whatever that is. So then my proposed one is splitting the position, we create separate positions and move them to the category 13 was what I suggested.
because my understanding is this is an add-on, right? This is money that we're adding on to the stipends, correct,
Yes,
Dr. Mayor?
$1,000.
Right? Okay, so then that means we're adding an additional 1,428. That means there's already 1,428 already in the budget. So by this calculation, what is written on this recommendation is adding another $1,428, but that's not correct, is what you're saying, Paula.
yeah,
So,
I feel like we could talk about these changes in broad strokes, but I feel like I would want to see the numbers represented in a clearer sense before I'm going to vote yes on the spending audit. Along those lines, though, while we're talking middle school, so has the Esprit Club just,
So from my understanding, I think that was something that was proposed either last year or the year before. And this is prior to me being in this position, so I don't know what the expectations were with that. I don't think anything ever.
so nobody,
From that.
nobody's been doing much with it for probably years and years?
There's a
Wow.
person assigned to it, like, it's never actually happened. I think it was in the works of happening, with the leader previous to me. So that's where I think that was supposed to maybe be like a branch off of third page, I think is what it was.
Well, it's
supposed to
Sounds
old,
like.
isn't it? Yeah, it's been,
But that's where I would like to just give our student council like the extra $100 because they would kind of be encompassing whatever that responsibility would be.
makes sense if
So
nobody's
I think
using
that
it.
was proposed a while ago, and then I don't really know because I'm stepping into this one.
so Paula, one more question. I want to, so what is the pay is $1,428 for that position. They were splitting it. You're wanting to add a second position for the same amount or no? What is the new amount that they are, each one that will be receiving?
Category 13.
Yeah, that's the numbers that are not agreeing.
So like instead of,
So 893 is the new number?
which is what they would both get.
Okay, so I would like to make a motion that we correct the numbers, and just to make sure that category, that category 13 is capped at 893 per category for each spot. That we are not adding $1,428, that it is capped at 893.
I'd rather just see it be clearer.
I just didn't know if they wanted to get it taken care of.
Yeah, well, is there a problem with tabling this, coming back to it?
This is next year, correct, on a stipend? Could we just get this given to us with a little more
Yeah.
clarity for the next meeting? Is that fine with you all?
I can do the eager part, I don't know.
That's all it is.
That's the only
legal
part that seems
Yeah.
to need
Can we
a
bring the
little.
whole schedule in, and we can look at it and get a whole?
Yeah, just no action this and
we-
then,
Move
Yeah,
we
so we'll
table
just
this?
let it die?
Is this an action
Table?
item?
Yes,
Move we
table.
table?
Oh, yeah.
Second on the table?
second,
Second, third.
All those in favor?
aye,
Aye.
All right.
yeah.
And We will be happy to listen to this. We just need a little bit of clarity on the numbers. Thank you.
From that dishwasher.
Dishwasher, excuse me. It will have water,
So,
hopefully.
so I gave you 3 bids. The second bid was from Ford, which was for a machine. Of course, that wasn't their primary, and the cost of that second from Ford wasn't with shipping and installation, which I'm sure, based on the installation they were looking for the machine I'm about to recommend, they wanted about 4,800. I'm sure by the time they got done with that Rackstar, that 1752 would be pretty close to 23 or 24. The third bid was one that I just found, I'm trying to stay compliant to get 3 bids wherever I can, and that was just one online that was basically the same gallon, similar size, a lot of similar features.
You don't want it off of Webster Front Store. It won't come with any guarantees, so let's just not even talk about it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's move on. So really, the one I'm recommending is the Hobart that we've used in the past.
Is this Hobart out of Columbia?
Hobart out of Columbia. Ford, it's Ford.
Also out of Columbia or
Ford company
St.
that sells the
Louis?
Hobart.
Yeah.
They've been good to us in the past. I think it's a fair price, and we are, I've said for several years, both the high school dishwasher and the Beaker dishwasher they're gonna, one or both are gonna quit us at the same time. I don't know how old they are, but this would be nice to get one of these out of the way. So my recommendation is for the Hobart,
$25,226.66.
yes, what he said. That's my recommendation.
I'll make a motion, we accept the Hobart quote.
Second.
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Besides Ms. Warner? Any opposed? All right. Substitute teachers in the nursing program. You should just get a
pull a
seat
chair
up here
up closer.
closer, yeah.
I didn't know how long-winded Dr. T was going to be.
Easy.
Now.
Again, within your packets, Heather and I have been working on a proposal for you guys to try and alleviate some pressure off of our adult nursing program. Our adult nursing program, since Heather has been involved, which she began last year, has had no subs available within her program. And the main reason for that is because of the requirements from the State Board of Nursing for anybody to sub within her program. They have to be certified by the State Board of Nursing, have 5 years of relevant experience, and when Heather calls people who she gets interest from and acknowledges the daily rate for our sub, they politely decline and say, I've got better use of my time. I can make, not better use of my time, but I can make more money within my regular job and work hours that are convenient for me and my family. So our proposal within this, I kind of provided information that we gathered for your consideration, just to increase it to an hourly rate instead of a daily rate. The hourly rate being capped at 4 hours per day, unless that would be, there would present a long-term sub situation. And in that instance, I would suggest we go a different route of negotiating that pay or coming up with a different way for long-term subs. But within our adult nursing classes, they have a maximum of 4 hours, most days a maximum of 3 hours of classroom instruction where they would need a sub to cover. And so calculating that worked out there at the bottom of your page. If we were to calculate the average number of days missed over the last 2 years for our nursing program at 4 hours a day, $30 an hour for the proposed rate of pay, minus the current $85 that is paid to a sub, that's a $35 per day increase. You take 12 absences, that's an increase of $420 a year if we were able to have a sub at the regular pay. So currently we don't have subs available and no one interested at our rate. So that's why we suggested that.
What happens when you don't have a sub? Like those 12 days, what happened to the program those 12 days?
We each filled in for each other.
Okay.
So that took away from my job, which is
Sure.
gathering data for the State Board of Nursing and that sort of thing. And in most instances, we can cover for each other. But if there's an instance where two of us are gone at the same time, then that kind of makes for a heavy load for whoever's left to pick up the slack. So that we kind of cover for each other. And that's how we have done it through the years as well.
So technically, it probably costs us more than $420 a year to not have a sub.
Probably.
Is there someone out there at this price, if we increase it, that we will have a sub available, did you think?
I think so. We have one person that I have actually got approval for, and she will sub for us. We have not had to use her, but she was really not interested at the $85 a day for 8 hours.
I bet not. So, also, looking at the qualifications for this, they have to have a 4-year degree, it looked like, and they have to have 5 years nursing experience. Is that RN, LPN, does it matter?
An RN, they have to be a
has to
registered
be an
nurse
RN
with
as
a
well?
bachelor's degree, yeah, in order
So that's what I
to
was
teach
thinking
in the
with that
practical
much
nursing
schooling, it was
program.
an RN.
Right.
So $30 an hour is probably a premium anyway.
Yeah, that's practically.
And previously, I don't know in your packet, but we communicated with another career center on how they do it.
Mhm.
And so that's kind of where we ended up with that.
Any more discussion? Open for a motion?
I make a motion, we accept the.
I'll second it.
Yeah.
Ed, seconded that here. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good luck with your substitute situation. Bus driver activity trips paid increased from $10 to
We're
$13.50.
spending a lot of money tonight.
Craig came to visit with me concerning this, and there's a huge need for bus drivers. Very hard to get bus drivers for activity trips. We were only paying $10, so the $13.50 then would be for the entire trip.
So currently, we pay $10?
Yes.
How do we do that if minimum wage is $10.30?
Well, bus drivers are exempt from federal minimum wage.
Well, that's crazy. I mean, I wouldn't do that either.
And I wouldn't do it either.
No.
All right. Well, sounds like there's some new information. Any more discussion on this? It seems
So-
like we feel like the salary's low.
Yeah, let's give her some money.
$13.50 an hour, yes.
Per hour?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
I don't know if I can ask this or not, but I guess I'm curious. Do we have bus drivers that are truly, like, for regular, are they at $10? Like, do we have bus drivers working on a regular route for $10?
It's a different scale.
No, it's a different scale.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
But they're where they're,
Craig and I looked that over because originally we thought maybe the routes were off, but when he compared with about 6 or 8 different schools, we were in a good place with our route drivers, but our trip drivers were almost,
Okay.
we were almost.
Okay,
we were
sorry, I was
almost-
just like-
Trip driving is an extra duty or a stipend type of
Right.
deal, right?
Yeah.
Outside of
Okay.
regular.
Okay,
time.
okay.
Regular routes
Night at a
are,
basketball
we're
game.
good on
Okay.
those, but just these we're at the wrong scale.
Okay.
I was like, what the?
Is there a motion on this?
I make a motion that we accept the $13.50.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
That's a lot.
So it carries. Carries well. Insurance coverage.
More money.
Well, we put a cap on it.
Do we have a representative from the CTA? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Please, Ms. Coslet, to the mic. If it's green.
Yeah.
Push it in and green.
It's green. All right, so like Dr. Mayer alluded to earlier in her presentation, when the numbers came back initially and we found the policy that they could hit under the $600 limit, wasn't really insurance. It was $7,000 deductible. So Dr. Mayer and I sat down and we hashed some things out. And it wasn't really much of a discussion because we both agreed that the right thing to do this year is to fully fund the insurance at 635, with the understanding that that might be it for a couple years, and then maybe in 2024, we revisit that, and maybe instead of getting a bigger pay raise, we bump up full coverage insurance again. I just don't think that this is the year to get rid of that benefit right now. It means a lot to a lot of people and to a lot of our teachers, and this is the right thing to do, in my opinion. So I appreciate Dr. Mayer's support on this, because we've all known that that $600 line has been very, very well known, but I just hope you guys go with this. I don't know what else to say. Sorry, I'm rambling.
You're good. Any more questions
How long
for her on
is
this?
that? Is that insurance that's yearly, that we
Yes.
quote that?
Okay.
Yes, we get an insurance rate boost yearly.
And the really nice thing too is that actually this year, all of the policies remain unchanged. So every sometimes we'll keep it fully funded, but something within the policy changes. This is the same policy that teachers have had that we know about. We haven't lost any coverage with this 635 bump. So that was a nice thing this year too.
Same company, same card,
Yep.
none of that.
Any more questions?
I move that we accept this and pay the insurance coverage.
Second.
I got a question. Dr. Mayer, does that come up to roughly about $25,000 additionally each year? Because it's like $6 per employee, is that what it is?
It's about a $215,000 increase.
Okay,
like
I was
210.
taking it that we
Right.
were already paying $629 up to going to
Right now, we are
$635.
paying $585, I believe.
Oh, okay, there's the difference. I had $629, I thought, told that somewhere.
This motion, do you want to have that include the cap that we've talked about?
Yes. I think we have to do that or we'll go broke on insurance.
The second as well? Amended, and everyone satisfied with that? Truly, we could,
So your
Well, we already voted on that.
motion, Ellen, is capping it at 629 or 600? What was
No,
your-
it's the 635 amount for this
Okay,
year.
capping it at 635, that they need to find insurance at 635 per month per employee. Correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And that was what, the cap was for 2 or 3 years?
The cap was for next year and the following year.
Right, so after that, then they'll be renegotiated.
So from 20,
Motion as amended.
And were there
All
any
right.
concerns from CTA about the cap? Not that CTA speaks for all teachers, but.
Obviously, fully funded insurance would be something we would like to continue to have, but we also know that salary and insurance comes from the same pot. So it might be kind of nice for a couple of years to get that salary up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, if that means I have to pay, $20 or $30 for insurance for a couple of years to get my salary up.
that's what I heard in your statement, was that you all would be satisfied with the
Yeah.
insurance and focus maybe on the schedule.
Yeah,
you know,
in the short
future.
term. I mean, we don't want to, because I think in 2 or 3 years, it'll probably be time to revisit insurance, because we'll be talking about a little bit more than 20 or 30 or 40 bucks out of a teacher's pocket to pay for insurance, so.
Finding ways to change a salary benchmark in ways that don't drag on other budget lines is difficult. So if the teachers, by and large, are comfortable with this way of changing the steps in that salary, then that seems like a good way to do it.
I think that it's a solution we all can live with, we'll put it that way.
Yeah.
All those in favor of the insurance coverage at $635 a month, capped for the 3 years, ending in 2023? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Moving along to the true salary schedule now.
I've handed you the salary schedule, and as I talked in my superintendent report, I am suggesting a raise to the base of $1,000. Our base then would be $37,000, makes us quite a bit higher than Warrensburg and Sedalia. So I do think it's an attractive salary schedule. I would like to say that 100% of funding of insurance is always going to impact the amount of money you can put on the base. And we just have to understand that to recruit and attract new, young exciting teachers and to be respectful to our returning and veteran teachers, we have to strike a balance there. So I just would like the board and whatever person follows me as superintendent down the road to remember that there is a really hard balance that you have to strike there, but it's important.
What was the increase? I wrote 620,000, is that correct? for the annual?
For salary, insurance, extra duty, for all of personnel increases, 620,000.
Okay, just wanted to say that number out loud again, so
Yeah,
everybody heard it.
it's a lot.
Just to make it fair.
That includes a 2% increase for classified staff.
For classified staff as well. There any discussion? Or we
Can we afford that?
Yes.
Okay.
And you asked me that this year, yes, we can.
I
And
move
we
we
can
accept
next year, and we're going to have to continue to
I
be
was gonna
very
say, if we
careful.
move the salary schedule, then it's year by year, it's not just this year.
Yeah, I mean, I just was, I mean,
But
wanna make
it's
sure that we
also,
can afford
yeah,
it.
it's also true, once you put it in the salary, you can't really take it out. Because we've never heard of a salary schedule being reduced.
Yeah,
I could see the revolt happening now.
it happened here
I'm not
once.
interested
Old
in
people
that.
around.
I'm not interested in that either.
I
All
move we
right.
accept this, I move we accept move the base to 1,000, move the base 1,000 to 37,000.
second.
And just to be clear, Christie and I, we're good to vote because this applies to all employees, not
That's correct.
ours
Because we have
singled
people-
out.
This is,
We
yeah,
have
this is
families
not
that are in the
specific
school
to
district.
anyone or
We don't have
any gang for
individuals.
anyone in particular.
Right, we just, we were just having that discussion, I was like, wanted to make sure it was clear that
And-
people understood
And
that.
also, just to be clear on Harry's motion, this includes the 2% as well for the classified.
Classified, yes, thank you for correcting me.
Just because we said 1,000, I want to make sure everyone understood across.
Thank you for correcting
All
me,
right.
Mr. President.
Feel like a stab. All those in favor? Opposed? All right. Well, that completes it. If someone wants to move us from open
I
session,
move
I second.
that we adjourn to closed session.
roll call vote. We will start on this end, ma'am.
Aye.
Shoot, Brian left, darn.
Ms. Warner?
She said aye.
Oh, did you? I'm sorry.
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye?
Hit that gavel.
We are out of open session?
Gavel.
With him and Heather.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Wesley.
Nice.